Hi, I'm Robin Hood. I steal from the rich to scold the poor. Hunters, this is a very important video because this is discussing literally one of the best solo sustained damage builds in the game for Hunter mains. This video is not going to talk about grapple melee in any context because I do not want the narrative to be shifted over about grapple melee. This build is exclusively about speed loader slack, damage rotations, and the rapid fire damage you can do with the crossbow with speed loader slacks with weapon pairings. Because a comment piqued my interest yesterday. A fellow said that one of the highest damage rotations in the game is Lord of Wolves plus DOT crossbow on speed loader slacks. He said explicitly it's not the highest DPS build in the game, but it's one of the highest. And I would agree with him, it's a lot of DPS. It's very good on the DPS. However, we can do better than Lord of Wolves. Lord of Wolves got a 20% nerf. Was it 30%, 20%? I don't care what it was, but it got nerfed. What I'm trying to explain to you is there's better DPS than Lord of Wolves on this speed loader slack builds, and that's what this video is going to cover. However, this build that I'm showing to you, and I've showed to you many times at this point, is probably one of the best solo sustained damage builds at any ranges. You can do it at 50 meters, you can do it at 10 meters, you can do it at 5 meters, you can do it at 60 meters, whatever it might be. You can do it at any range, and it's very versatile. It is the most versatile hunter build that I have ever seen since ever. I think it's the most versatile hunter build I have ever seen in my entire career of Destiny 2. That's how powerful it is. If you are a hunter main and you're not using this build, or you've never used it, you are sleeping, my friend. You're sleeping under a rock. We need to get that rock off you. All right? So, if you haven't seen the build, let's go over it from the top yet again. Marksman dodge for low cooldown. Grapple melee, I'm not talking about it. Aspects of Afraid Spectre and Snare and Slam for Woven Mail on Devil Dive. Suspend. When you dive, you get Woven Mail. Damage resist. Feather generation, wisdom, mind, warding, continuity. That is the best setup. Pairing that with speed loader slacks on dealing suspend damage. On dealing sustained damage, you get class ability energy. This will allow you to keep using bomb, dive bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb with Woven Mail. You're going to keep getting Woven Mail and you're going to get Overshield. It's 2 damage resistances. It's not just one. Class ability stat is Overshield DR in itself. Yeah? So you're getting that and Woven Mail. It allows you to face tank a boss and not die, hunters. Do you understand what happened to you using Vesper's Host? Nobody could solo Vesper's Host on a hunter week 1. Only ATP done it. The rest of you hunters threw and couldn't do it, and you had to swap to a Titan and Warlock to solo force Vesper's Host. I should know because I was there. I was around about there. Same for Sundred Doctrine. Nobody could do it on a hunter. Nobody could solo force. Only ATP was adept enough to solo Sundred Doctrine on the first week it came out on a hunter. What I'm trying to explain to you is, hunters, the flip has been switched with this build. When you're doing day 1 solo floors content for the new dungeon, you have a better chance of what you did with Vesper's Host and Sundred Doctrine, simply because of this build. This is one of the builds. Hunters have had massive buffs post Edge of Fate. In actual fact, Titans and Warlocks are getting jealous of you. Hunters, you were put in a casket shortly after Final Shape when you got nerfed, and you have slowly risen from the ashes. Let's open that casket up for you and get you good in PVE again, because that time is now. There's never been a time to be a hunter main than now, apart from Final Shape when it launched. Apart from that time, but apart from that, it's time to shine for hunters. So the sustained damage works. This is the best crossbow roll for the speed loader slacks. This will allow you to mega fire and rapid fire the bow. That being charge bolts, auto and holster, chill clip. Auto and holster because you can fire the bolt twice. You can do 2 shots on rapid succession because of this. Yes, charge bolts for damage over time. Nova bolt will work. It needs to be charged bolts, and it's as simple as that. I don't want to hear explosive. I've seen so many people say to me, I use explosive bolts on the bow. You are throwing, my friend, and you're annoying me by telling me that. Stop using explosive bolts. You do not need that bolt. I have tested it, and I know it's one of the worst bolts on this thing. Stop throwing. If you're in my LFG team, and I see you using explosive bolts on submersion, I'll be round to you And we're going to have a one-on-one altercation about this. You need charge bolts or heavy bolts, and I don't want to hear anything else other than that. So, all alone also chill clip, like I said, for the roll. And you're going to pair that with speed loader slacks. Now then, like what the fellow said, you can combine that with Lord of Wolves for this damage rotation between the two. And it's very good DPS. It's very good DPS. But we can do better than that. Lord of Wolves got a nerf, as we said. So, that being the 4 Horsemen. 4 Horsemen will have less total damage than Lord of Wolves, but more DPS. This is going to be mega DPS. You're going to be able to do 2 shots of the bow, back to back, then go to your 4 Horsemen, do two mags when you dive in each time to reload, with marksman, dodge and what have you, and the speed loader slacks, and you're going to do 2 mags of that, then you're going to swap to the bow, do 2 shots of that, and you're going to go back and forth. You're going to see it in the clips. You're going to see it in the clips. The reason why this is so important, though, is because you can double dip into 2 damage bonuses. Semi-auto striker and Argent Quiver has a unique interaction with the damage over time crossbow, making orbs of power when you are damaging a boss. This is very good to know, because Argent Quiver is a 25% damage bonus for heavy bows. You'll see an image on screen. 25%. So you're going to get 25% damage bonus, plus you're going to get surges. It's OP this. You are double dipping into 2 different styles of damage bonuses on a DPS rotation. It's huge. You can use triple solar weapon surge, 22% damage bonus for Lord of Wolves. Then you can get the Argent Quiver buff with submersion. You see the footage. Or we go triple arc weapon surge with 4 Horsemen and do it like that. Right? So you can just swap. You just do triple arc weapon surge. You get the point, right? You get the point. Okay, now then, that's for close quarter combat against a boss that's very close quarters. We don't know what dungeon we're going to get next month in terms of boss design. If it's a very close quarter design, then we can use this. However, if we need range, I've got you covered. Doesn't matter. This build is so versatile. It can work close quarters, long range, 80 meters, 60 meters. It doesn't care. It doesn't care. And I've showed you, I've explained to you that New Malpais, the exotic mint, is a fantastic pairing with submersion. It is probably one of the best pairings you can pair with New Malpais because of its unique effect on this build, firing 2 shots. Right? 2 shots to then fire this. So I'll explain that damage rotation between this. This can out DPS just about Lord of Wolves. It can out DPS Lord of Wolves, and it does more total damage as well, I believe. But we'll see in the footage what I got on the numbers. The reason why this is important, because Mint Retrigade's getting a nerf. It's getting a slight ammo nerf, which will make a little bit of difference in day 1 content. Your total damage is just going to be less. DPS will be, pretty much similar, but the total damage is going to be less. And New Malpais is not getting touched. Do you see how important this is, right? And I'm just saying the DOT bow is a fantastic pair, and I'll prove that it is. All right? So we'll show you those 3 clips. I'm not going to go too deep into this. Yeah. Also, for Lord of Wolves, by the way, Fever and Chill and Radiant Shrapnel, I did use that for the test. So we even get Radiant with Lord of Wolves, which will buff damage. It will buff damage for the bow as well, because Radiant's a damage bonus. And finally, stat-wise, you need high super, high class, high weapons. Now then, the slider, I call it the slider stats. If a boss is hitting you too hard, you need more class stat. You need 140, 150 class stat. If the boss is not hitting you that hard, then you can run higher weapon stat. See, look, I've got weapons. So I can replace a weapon mod. If I need more DR, I just put more class stat on. The more class you have, the more damage risk you have. Overshield is tied to DR, like I keep telling people, and people are just getting... They're just throwing, man. They're not understanding. The class stat gives you DR. It gives you damage resist. The build is so simplistic that you only need 3 stats. You don't need grenade, you don't need melee. You just need these 3 stats, and that's it. So there you go. That is basically discussing that bit. We've discussed all the artifact mods. Obviously, I'm talking about surges in the manner of this. And we'll use the correct surge for each weapon. So it'll be strand weapon surge for New Malpais. It'll be arc weapon surge for for the 4 Horsemen. And solar weapon surge for Lord of Wolves. And finally, for the tests, because all the power level of the weapons are different, we have to use 10 power level shooting all. We are not allowed to use ultimate haul because the damages numbers will be off. We need to use the base haul, okay? So I've told you that. Make sure you haven't missed that detail. Okay, so for context, I'm just going to show you what a base Silk Strike does for DPS, because Silk Strike, and we're in a bit of a super damage meta at the minute. I'm just giving you a ground number, what Silk Strike does, and the fact that the damage rotations I'm about to show you do better than what Silk Strike will do. For example, a non-buffed Silk Strike, albeit. Yeah, we've got a Argent Quiver buff. We'll let our Surge go. Notice I'm going to make Surges and get Argent Quiver Broadhead ×3 buff. So watch this rotation with Lord of Wolves. Yeah, so we've got our Broadheads. Do 2 shots, then we swap to Lord of Wolves. Solo Weapon ×3. Because we're making orbs. We're making the armor charge buff with Argent Quiver, the interaction with the DOT bow. So look, we do 2 mags of each weapon, if you like. So 2 mags of Lord of Wolves, then 2 bow shots. That's why Auto on Holster is very good, because you can do two bow shots like this. Let's see what Lord of Wolves does for DPS. Let's see what it does. Its total damage was pretty good as well, actually. However, so its total damage is better than 4th Horseman, but its DPS is worse. DPS is better on 4th Horseman, alright? Because Lord of Wolves got enough. There we go, 1600 damage, DPS, sorry. And then it starts to depreciate because of DOT. But that was 1600 DPS, 68,000 total damage. Let's see how that compares to 4th Horseman. Remember, because of the interaction, we're getting triple surges and Argent Quiver. This is OP. We're double dipping into different styles of damage. Watch this. Now, this is what I favour. I think 4th Horseman's way better than Lord of Wolves. Yeah, and I didn't even have Radiant, whereas Lord of Wolves I did. So just watch this. Yeah, bow shot, dive, bow shot, 2 mags of 4th Horseman with the dives. Yeah, another set, and then 2 more bow shots with the crossbow. So we're rapid firing the bow with this build. Don't you understand? Pairing it with 4th Horseman. Look at the DPS before it stops. Before the counter stops, nearly 2,000, and then it starts to depreciate to 1,800. But you get the point. Although the total damage is much less. 43, it's a lot less total damage, but the DPS is much higher than Lord of Wolves. That's what I'm trying to prove my point. But however, this foul damage rotation proves to you that this damage rotation would work for anything, any meterage. It's with new Malpies. Look at the surges. I'm getting triple strand surge, plus I'm getting the Argent Quiver buff. The idea is 2 bow shots to then do 7 detonation shots with new Malpies. This is one of the safest damage rotations in the game for hunters. It's incredibly powerful. That's why I'm making a video about it. This isn't off meta. This isn't anything like this. This is something that you should learn and basically be using in the game. It's incredibly powerful, this. And you build a face tank builds with the overshield, etc. Look at how good that is. Trying to explain it to you. And it is better than Lord of Wolves. So you just wouldn't use Lord of Wolves because this does more damage than Lord of Wolves. Total damage and more DPS. So you would just use, look at that, more DPS and more total damage. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.